What is your favorite thing slash part of experience during your Olympiad journey?
Kind of twofold. I guess one is definitely like people you meet. If you're lucky enough to like end up making camp, or even like if you go online and like there's some online communities or spaces for people who like study Olympiads together, you can meet some really cool people. Like a lot of the people I met in chemistry, including Aaron, are today one some of my closest friends, and I really appreciate their company and feel like I've learned a lot from them, not just in chemistry, but also in like life in general. And then my other part of Olympiads that I really enjoyed was just I guess like exploring different subjects. So I really gained an appreciation for like how deep Olympiads can take you in a given field in senior year after I finished chemistry. I was like, okay, what do I do now? I just started, picking up things that I thought were interesting. So like I thought physics was pretty cool. So I just like read physics and like wasn't anywhere near like the rigor that motivated drive that I had for chemistry, where it's just like, I need to do this and I'm gonna do this. It's just more exploring and having fun. And I think I managed to be successful in physics without so much of the drive that I had for chemistry, simply because I was just genuinely interested and like was learning, not because I needed it for some competition or anything, but because I thought it was cool.
What motivated you to continue studying hard, long, and or tedious content?
I guess I didn't really give myself a choice. Failure is not an option, which is granted not a healthy mindset, but it did get the job done at times.
For motivating me to study all of this, it was definitely just because I really loved learning chemistry, that it was something about applying what I learned to understand the world around me that was really amazing. And so I always wanted to crack open my textbook and see what new things I could find.
Like Aaron said, if you really have like a passion for like finding out the reason behind like a disease or behind like why like the body operates in a certain way, I think it's something that like transform what would have been tedious to something that's actually like really interesting to learn about.
So, what were some of the highlights of your time at study camp?
Making life or like friends that I can like hang around with for anything unrelated to chemistry, and just like I guess finding my people is definitely the highlight. And we related to each other more than I don't think I've ever related to someone that much. It was like, are you suffering? Yes, I'm also suffering. Wow, let's be friends.
Biggest highlight for me is the day before we leave. It's pretty much tradition at Chem Camp to pull an all-nighter and just spend time and just spend the last remaining hours at camp together having fun. And those are just some of the best moments in my mind, because it just shows how close of a bond we made during those 2 weeks, and it's really amazing to look back on.
Like Aaron, during the last few days, we had a tradition of staying up and like signing each other's copies of Campbell, like doing fun things together. And like we still talk very often. And recently, like we even shared our like Halloween costumes. And I think just like the people that you make are like the highlights of the camp.
Did any of you get pressured into doing Olympiads by your parents or for college, or did you solely do it because you loved it?
Well, I think it's very hard to solely do it just because you love it. I feel like it's not a bad thing that you want to do it for college or do it for like your parents or anything. But I feel like a big part of it is like actually being interested in it. And I think everybody who does Olympiad or every camper I've met actually really loves their subject. And that's like a big part about it's not about like how you get into it, but more about like what actually drives you throughout the process. And
How do you manage your time on a competition? And I'm assuming this means like during the actual test, how to like divide up time for questions, etc.
The way I structured it is I guess I'll use an example of USNCO. There's like roughly 10 sections, 6 questions each on one of the first parts. So I gave myself like about 10 and worst case 15 minutes for each section. And then and I didn't do the sections in order. So like I liked organic chemistry, so I always did that one first. And then I like worked my way backwards until I got to the sections that I didn't like. Those took a little longer. But at the very end, it took about like always give myself like 10, 20-ish minutes to check my answers. You need to get comfortable with like leaving questions unanswered or like coming back to them later.
On top of actually doing school, how was the time commitment that you also had to the Olympiads that you were studying for?
And so I think a good estimate for like how much time you're spending per day on this is like maybe it's probably at minimum 3 hours and probably at most maybe 5, like each day. And it sounds like a lot of time, but when you're really, really invested in the subject, it goes by in a flash and you didn't even realize that you spent that much time on it.